Greetings. My name is Jim with NFLDraftFanatics.com, and this is the Are Relevant Daily Draft Podcast. During the college football season, we will highlight draftable players which match up. Our goal is to cover the draftables, the players that are 1 to 400 on our initial big boards, hoping to show which players are improving draft stock before the Senior Bowl kicks off draft season. None of the players discussed have officially declared for the NFL draft as of week 3 of the 2024 season. So this episode is going to focus on South Carolina against LSU. This is a great matchup for a lot of reasons. So obviously LSU's a ranked team. They have really good players and they are doing really well this year, right? But let's talk right at the top about offensive tackle Will Campbell from LSU. So right now, he is one of the top 5 players on the big board. So he generally is going to be taken probably somewhere between pick 5 and 10 in this year's upcoming draft, and possibly even higher. So I should say from pick 1 to 10 in this year's draft. So he is going to be matched up against TJ Sanders and Tonka Hemingway from South Carolina. So anytime that Sanders or Tonka Hemingway or Deandre Jules from South Carolina match up against Will Campbell, or just slightly further down the board, the other offensive tackle, Emory Jones from LSU, it's going to be a great matchup of players that are going to be drafted matching up against each other. That's why we do this podcast. So if you're just a general fan watching the game, or you're trying to figure out maybe who are some of the players in South Carolina to watch from a draftable standpoint, this is a great measurement, because I have TJ Sanders as the highest South Carolina player on my board. And right behind him is Raheim Sanders. Right behind him is Nick Emmanwori. So those 3 players from South Carolina right now are all top 100 players. So we can see a top 100 player go up against a top 10 player, right? That's a really good matchup to measure the offensive line of LSU against the defensive front from South Carolina. But we can keep looking down the list, and let's talk about Raheim Sanders for a minute. So this is a great matchup because we have a running back, Raheim Sanders from South Carolina, and he will be matched up against Harold Perkins from LSU, Major Burns from LSU, and Sage Ryan from LSU. He's a little bit further down the board. So we have a running back matched up against a linebacker and 2 safeties. This is a great matchup. We will be able to see the tackling ability of both safeties and Harold Perkins at linebacker against one of the better running backs in college football. So right now, Raheim Sanders, I have him in the top 100. And that's probably where he is on the board. That's probably about running back 6 or running back 8 this year. So this year, we're going to see a lot of running backs in the top 100, and a lot would be somewhere between 6 and 10. According to my opinions. Okay, so let's also talk about, from LSU, we have quarterback Garret Nussmeier. So I have Nussmeier, 2nd round grade right now at quarterback for LSU. Okay, let's look at who he's matched up against. We have Nick Emmanwori, a safety from South Carolina. I love quarterback safety matchups. We have one here. That's definitely something to pay attention to. Okay. If we look a little bit further down, we have some tight ends in this game. We have both Mason Taylor and Brady Hunt. So I have a draftable grade on Mason Taylor right now in what is likely going to be a moderately strong tight end class. So Mason Taylor from LSU, I would definitely look at him matched up against Emmanwori at safety. Again, we have a tight end safety matchup there. So that's something that I like to look at. We've flipped that around. We have Brady Hunt from South Carolina. He could be matched up against Harold Perkins, probably not, but Major Burns, safety from LSU, against Brady Hunt from South Carolina. And I'm going to say I'm going to hold before I go too much further down the draft board, because I have a lot of players from LSU that are below CJ Daniels on the board that I'm looking at right now. But I don't want to dive too much into like the UDFA territory. So definitely at the top, we're looking at 4 players from LSU in the top 60. We have 7 players in this game that are in the top 100. This is a premier matchup of day 1 and day 2 players. So this is definitely a game that I am hoping comes on in my area. From the standpoint of especially because Nussmeier is playing, and I'm trying to make sure that I have a chance to watch every team, and especially if there's a quarterback that's not at the top of the list, those are players that I tend to like watching. So my name is Jim. I'm with NFLDraftFanatics.com. You can follow me on X at NFL Draft Fanatic. There is no I in Fanatic on my Twitter. NFLDraftFanatics.com is the home of the only interactive mock draft simulator where fans rate the players and fans control the big boards. So the boards you see on NFLDraftFanatics.com are there because fans drafted the players, and that's how the players get put where they are in the big board. The players you pick move up. The players that you don't pick move down. And the more people that use it, the more data the site collects, and it builds a board based upon the choices that people make as opposed to just one person's opinion. So again, my name is Jim. Thank you so much for watching this podcast. Remember, any day is draft day if you have the right attitude. Please like, follow, subscribe. Thank you very much for listening. And I look forward to interacting with you on both Twitter as well as in the chat on the podcast. Thank you so much for your time, and I hope you have a great day.